Monday, the 21st of August 2023. Hello there and good evening. Thank you for joining us for this live broadcast. Before we get right into it, here's a quick look at our top stories tonight. In business today, MPs condemn World Bank, Labour funding cut discriminatory. Government urged to combat corruption for economic strengthening. UETCL is advised to utilize the ISO certification for investor attraction. Uganda aims for 52,000 megawatts generation to align with strategy. And Koboko youth are tipped about horticulture as a quick income potential. Tomato trade worth 15 billion shillings annually. You're welcome once again to Business Today. I'm Rona Nahabwa and we're joined by Winnie Wins and Nakawachi for the sign language interpretation. Now, to begin with, members of the Ethics and Integrity Forum have denounced and lashed out at World Bank's decision of suspending funds to Uganda because of the anti-homosexuality bill, branding it biased. They contend that the funds are vital for Uganda's socio-economic advancement to impact all citizens. These legislators have vehemently called on to World Bank to honor its regulations by respecting individual countries' decisions and political contexts. Samara Nifa has more of this report.
World Bank is mandated to eradicate poverty and promote socio-economic development through providing low-interest loans to developing countries like Uganda. Their decision will enormously affect the country's projects, and lawmakers have called this a discriminatory decision.
Any international treaty, protocol, covenant, concordant that says sexual orientation is a ground of discrimination. We are not party to any treaty in that regard. And we are not about to be parties to any treaty that says so, because in effect, it will be contradicting our constitution. Because already our constitution outlaws same-sex marriages. So I thought that must also be contextualized. Final on my part, on the World Bank letter, it quotes values. Now this is the second last point. It quotes values. The letter by the World Bank says, according to World Bank's values. And I think they are right to quote their values.
We will spend considerable time dissecting what aid and loans mean and what they have actually done to our nation. By and large, in our view, they have been a negative influence on much of our efforts to ensure that we have social and economic transformation. Those are two statements I felt we should start with. Let me also add to what my colleague has just mentioned. Rich nations, the nations that are so mad about this homosexuality, do know very well that nations in the Arab world execute homosexuals. We don't. Our law is not suggesting.
This money does not go in anybody's pocket. Doesn't go in the pocket of the president. This money doesn't go in the pocket of the members of parliament. No. This money goes to support economic development for Ugandans in the areas of infrastructure development, in the areas of healthcare service delivery, in the areas of education, and all other social, economic, and political development areas. Extreme border with DR Congo. First, extreme border with DR Congo.
According to lawmakers, World Bank has guidelines that prevent it from involving itself in the politics of the countries it funds. But here it is holding Uganda at ransom for passing a law that governs it, which contradicts its core mandate.
World Bank in itself is sounding to be very contradictory. Yes, the loan facilities, the loan programs have had a tremendous effect on what I call socio-economic rights. But with due respect, the World Bank has no mandate over what we would call political rights, and that is in their own documents. Their own documents. That's why people are concerned at the treatment of, gay rights at the expense of other rights. They were very clear themselves in their agreement
to stick to its core mandate, which is providing long-term economic, the World Bank, to stick to its core mandate, which is providing long-term economic development and eradicating or reducing poverty from countries. The World Bank did not create human beings. God created human beings, and He created a man and a woman and gave us clear commandments, and we are living by those.
According to the chairperson of the Ethics and Integrity Forum, World Bank's decision has nothing to do with the gay bill that Uganda passed, but they are trying to pass a strong message to the rest of the African countries that their funding can be revoked, failure to dance to their tunes.
With which they are beating us. There is more to that, two obvious statements. First of all, the World Bank itself, it should be known by those who care to know that the World Bank is a tool of the USA and generally Western nations. It's a tool, it's an instrument. The World Bank is not a free organization, but it's primarily
$5.4 billion was budgeted for disbursement to Uganda by the World Bank by December 2022. It is not yet clear whether all this money will be given after the decision to suspend. Members of Parliament, on the other hand, are optimistic that the budgeted for money will be availed. Samla Nifa, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
We now move forward with UETCL attaining the ISO certification. Amid its rigorous audits, the Uganda Electricity Transmission Company Limited has secured the esteemed ISO 9001 certification, a testament to its steadfast dedication to exceptional standards, implying that the company's management system, manufacturing processes, services, and documentation procedures meet all the criteria for standardization and quality assurance. This significant milestone arrives at a crucial time, with the East African power pool poised for full functionality, adding the extra layer of importance to UETCL's accomplishment. Take a look. Upon meeting necessary quality management standards, the Uganda Electricity Transmission Company Limited has gained inclusion in the International Organization for Standardization. Minister Ruth Nankabirwa has urged the company's management to uphold quality, draw in high-quality investors, and also underscored the strategic importance of UETCL's ISO certification, which means enhanced efficiency, power utilization, particularly during the government's active efforts to implement the Paris development model.
To see that we catch up with the most important events. I know dinner is important.
That comes with a lot of challenges where we are seeing Uganda planning for generating a lot of power to the tune of 52,000 megawatts. That means that UETCL, much as we are celebrating these standards that have been achieved, has to tune themselves to make sure that they match the generation strategy. And now that government is implementing the parish development model, we are expected to have a complete strategy of power supply from generation, transmission, distribution to the last mile consumer, who is probably going to be at the parish level, where we will see value addition facilities being established, because parish development model encourages value addition at the lowest unit of administration. So the challenge is big to make sure that the three companies support one another to make sure that we are, first of all, not stranded with generated power, which has not been evacuated, because we shall be paying for the power that we are not using. But also to make sure that we have systems which are sound, to make sure that the grid is stable. We don't have outages because of all the systems.
UETCL intends to utilize its international certification and acknowledgement to tap into the significant opportunities within the electricity trading business and power pool arrangement with neighboring nations.
An African power pool arrangement, we have already worked on a system where we shall be seeing power being traded or marketed in our neighbors. We have transmission lines that are going to be constructed into DRC, and we are at the feasibility stage. We are trading power with Rwanda, 40 megawatts. We are trading in power with Kenya, 60 megawatts. And we are planning to construct a transmission line from Oluyo, which will go through Adjumani into Nimule Juba, that will see power transmitted into Juba. But there are many lines that are taking power to the nearby towns of South Sudan, Nimule and Kaya. We already signed an agreement with them, a power purchase agreement with them. So we are encouraging power trade, because one day you never know, Uganda might need power due to failure or in some units or dams. Anything can happen. So these lines can be used to pull power.
Mr. Karamaji restated UETCL's dedication to reliable, sustainable power for Uganda and beyond. He also unveiled the upcoming ISO certifications targeting safety, health, environmental management, and other energy systems.
A strategic plan for 5 years that started in 2018 to 2023. We are in the final year of that strategic plan, and within that plan, ISO certification was one of the strategic objectives. I'm very happy to report that we have achieved this milestone within the 5-year strategic plan. The measure of how this is important to us is that when you get certified, there are certain ways you have to do things in terms of procedures, in terms of processes, and when you follow those procedures, which are best practices in terms of planning, execution, performance monitoring, all those things are identified within this certification, and if you follow it, then it enhances your efficiency, which will result into better service delivery, and of course it has to be translated in your bottom line.
UETCL's ISO certification solidifies its position as a regional energy frontrunner, showcasing its commitment to quality and operational prowess. This achievement establishes a strong basis for ongoing expansion and a significant role in Uganda's energy sector. Nana Habwe, Smart 24 TV, Business Today. We now look at streamlining water and road transport. Police have revealed that merchandise worth 34 million shillings was lost in an accident where two boats collided at a place called Liniela between Buvuma and Rore Island in Namayingo district. According to Fred Enanga, the incident occurred at around 3 a.m. and it's against the law to transport passengers at night, more so without navigation lights. Pedson Mumbele reports.
20 passengers sailing on Lake Victoria survived drowning on Saturday after two boats collided at a place called Loneli between Buvuma Island and Lore Islands in Namayingo district. In a weekly press conference at police headquarters, Fred Enang, the police spokesperson, says that an incident occurred around 3 a.m. in August 2000, which is against the law, and that merchandise worth 34 million was lost.
We registered a boat collision head-on. That was on the 19th at around 4:30 a.m. The facts that we've gathered indicate that Issa CCA unlawfully and stealthily loaded 10 passengers, 230 jerrycans of fuel, 40 crates of soda, 10 crates of beer, and other merchandise, all valued at 35 million. And tried to transport and was transporting the passengers and the merchandise to Lorwe Island against the restricted transportation of passengers at night. So when they reached Ringira area in Buvuma district, because they lacked navigation lights, they collided with another cargo boat that was transporting sand from Rufu Island, also with 10 occupants heading towards Jinja.
Following the collision, the police say that this boat was loaded with sand and 10 passengers capsized, while that carrying the passengers suffered minor damages. Enang reports that a 51-year-old boat driver named Issa Sassie is being detained by the police marine section for illegally transporting passengers at night.
And so our police marine unit has in custody one Issa CCA, a 50-year-old boat driver, for conveying passengers in an unlawful manner on the 19th of August.
The accident comes hardly 2 weeks after an overloaded passenger boat carrying 34 passengers, charcoal, fish and fresh foods capsized, killing over 20 people, while 9 were rescued. In the same development, the traffic police spokesperson ASP Michael Kananura has warned that operations will continue on various roads and highways across the country. He says that drivers without driving licenses, those with permits out of class and those with expired permits should stand warned, and that their operations targeting them have also kicked off.
What is going to be done? Operations on border borders targeting those without permits and helmets continue across the country until there is sanity on roads. Operations on all those driving without driving licenses, those driving out of classes, and those driving with expired driving permits, stand warned, you are all going to be arrested in these operations.
Kanamura says that as part of the ongoing crackdown, a total of 2,217 motorcycles were impounded after riders were found without riding permits and helmets. He says that such will continue until riders adhere to the requirements.
A total number of 2,217 motorcycles were impounded on various offenses. Out of these, 1,196 were riding on roads without driving licenses. 775 were moving on roads without crash helmets.
According to data from the traffic police, in a period of 1 week, 435 accidents were registered, 74 of which were fatal, 224 were serious, and 124 were minor. These accidents had 428 victims, 87 of which died and 341 sustained injuries. Of those who died, 40 were traveling on motorcycles and 11 being passengers. 29 riders and 25 people were pedestrians. Pedson Mumbere, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
We now look at a report from Parliament again. Parliamentary Forum on Conservation and Sustainable Tourism has rallied stakeholders for biodiversity protection and endangered species preservation. Lawmakers have stressed the vital role of species such as chimpanzees in boosting national revenue in the end as a conservation for tourism. Additionally, they have pushed for a heightened allocation in the tourism budget, crucial as it drives significant foreign earnings for the nation. We have details.
The tourism sector as per 2022-2023 has contributed to nearly 2.7 trillion shillings, which has led to the great protection and conservation of wildlife species, the flora and fauna, by gazetting the national parks with strong wire fences.
Because that is her focus. Our media fraternity, members of the executive committee of the Parliamentary Forum on Conservation and Sustainable Tourism, our media fraternity, members of the executive committee of the Parliament, our media fraternity, members of the executive.
Uganda is hosting Dr. Jane Goodall, the world's foremost expert on chimpanzees. Members of Parliament on the Parliamentary Forum and Sustainable Tourism have called upon government and other stakeholders to take a lead in conservation of biodiversity, which is one of the biggest contributors to the country's GDP through tourism.
All the conservationists in welcoming Dr. Jane Goodall's visit to Uganda at a time when the country's efforts to conservation are being minimized and with unsustainable developments. I would like to also congratulate Ngamba Islands upon celebrating 25 years of conserving chimpanzees. That is going to be celebrated on 25th August, and to welcome Dr. Jane Goodall to preside over this 25 years celebration, the Jubilee for Ngamba Islands. As the chairperson of the forum has said, the visit of Dr. Jane Goodall is an opportunity to engage and rally all conservation actors, policymakers, as well as media, to have a collective action to conservation, which has been a campaign for decades that Dr. Jane Goodall has pushed forward for the last 50+ years globally.
The legislators have also urged government to increase funding for the tourism sector. According to them, they appreciate the slight increase in the budget, but it's still inadequate, yet it brings in more revenue as well as providing employment opportunities to many Ugandans.
We've raised these issues of the inadequate funding for the tourism sector, considering the fact that tourism is one of the largest foreign exchange earners for the country. And therefore, our argument has been that the return on investment for the tourism sector is much higher than what we've been thinking about. Regarding the issue of funding for the tourism sector in Uganda, yes, I agree with you. The funding is still inadequate, just like it is for all the other sectors, not only tourism. It is inadequate, and
which has led to the extinction of certain species of animals as well as flora and fauna. Samlanifa, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
We will now take a short break, but we will return with more. Stick around.
Smart24, driving business.
Cooking oil like no other makes your meal so sweet and scrumptious. The taste of Uganda, yeah, the taste of Uganda, the taste.
Say hello to GOTV's newest package, GOTV Super Plus. The GOTV package you've been asking for. GOTV Super Plus has all the great channels you love on GOTV Super. Plus, big-time international and kids channels the whole family will love. Plus, plenty of live Premier League action on SuperSport's dedicated Premier League channel. It's the package you asked for, and we listened. GOTV Super Plus, available from 1st August. GOTV, love it.
Luxury redefined at Seasan Hotel as you indulge in the splendor of elegant living fit for the royalty that you are. Step into comfort, pampering and blissful customer-centric service as you select from our range of comfy, exquisite living quarters furnished to meet with your royal preference. Surrounded by scenic beauty, our tropical setting allows you to escape the glamorous ordeal of city life. Our ambient green gardens will guide you to a place of revitalizing rest. The 3-star restaurant caters to your palate, serving your choice menu ranging from exotic cuisines to local delicacies. Our chefs will serve you full-course meals for a truly out-of-this-world culinary experience. Our fully stocked bar to whet your throat, from renowned global brand whisks, brandies, gins, beers and wines to our locally celebrated beverages, you will not lack for any brewage. It's an all-new experience in the East at Seasan Hotel. So visit today at plot 15 to 19 Spire Road, Ginger, or contact us on +256 751 719 960 and +256 785 354 614 for reservations. Seasan Hotels, luxury redefined. In a world where trade drives economic growth and development, Africa is now embracing a new era of intracontinental trade through the African Continental Free Trade Area to unleash its immense potential. Witness the spirit of entrepreneurship as African businesses forge away into partnership and venture beyond their borders in a single African market. Discover the innovative solutions being initiated and created to address challenges and seize opportunities in sustainable agriculture, renewable energy, and technological advancements. We expand our lens to showcase the efforts and success of economic integration across the entire African continent, from West Africa to East Africa, North Africa to Southern Africa, Central Africa, and even the diaspora, as the tapestry of unity grows stronger with each story we tell. African Perspective, driving business and trade across Africa. Don't miss the African Perspective on Smart24 every Monday, Wednesday and Friday at exactly 6 p.m. East African Standard Time as we drive business and trade across Africa. Download the Smart Digital app on Play Store and enjoy your favorite TV shows, documentaries, and radio in your palm on the go.
Smart 24, driving business.
You're still watching Business Today, and if you just joined us, you're in for the second half. We now look at how horticulture is igniting West Nile. Youth in Koboko have been encouraged to embrace horticulture for swift profits in short production cycles. Stakeholders retaliated this message as 150 refugees and local youths graduated following their 2-month horticulture training at Jabara Agriculture Vocational Institute in Koboko District. A pathway to quick earnings is highlighted. Take a look. Horticulture crops offer a rapid revenue stream from gardens due to their short harvesting cycles, typically just a few weeks. In alignment with this strategy, the United Nations World Food Programme has collaboratively joined forces with ECAV with a shared objective to capacitate communities and refugees in Koboko, leveraging the Agriculture Market Support Project funded by the MasterCard Foundation, and this initiative aims to bolster horticulture crop production.
These are vulnerable youth. The selection process of these youth was done by their own farmer groups. We are working with 78 farmer groups in the district. It is the farmers who selected the talent from among them. And when you see all 150, they are going back as trainers of trainers. They are going to train their fellow farmers in vegetable production. Money is in agriculture, and horticulture provides incomes just after 3 months. The youth that we see here are not the same youth that we see out there. Quite a number of youth on the road are idle, abusing drugs, but these youth have changed. I would like to say that as our partnership comes to an end, we remain indebted to the WFP and MasterCard for this. And as a district, now the mantle remains in our hands.
In West Nile, the growing population drives up demand for horticulture goods such as tomatoes, onions, and cabbage. Recent research by Gap Management Foundation reveals a potential 15 billion shillings annual trade revenue of tomatoes alone. Unfortunately, 10.7 billion shillings is lost yearly due to imported tomatoes. The overall demand for horticulture products in the region exceeds 75 billion shillings annually, and trained youth recognize this initiative as a gateway to improved livelihoods given the strong existing market.
Realize that agriculture, you need to go and get knowledge. When you compare yourself with the person who's working like a driver or what, you'll be the best one. Because in 3 months, you'll get millions of money.
I didn't have experience on how to manage the nursery bed particularly, because that is the key. I may buy seedlings of 1 quarter or 2 quarters. At the end of the day, I find myself planting 1 quarter.
I was lacking knowledge. I don't know how to produce things the way we are trained here. I was just growing things anyhow. I don't know how it benefits me.
Serious agriculture endeavors pose a capital challenge for numerous youths, including individuals like Neva Khadija.
Secondly, I was lacking capital, that small capital, to buy even only a mere seed. I can't afford. Even right now, I'll be going with my startup kits. That's one of the advantage also. I'll be using those ones to start, and then from there, I'll no longer become poor again.
According to Senior Koboko District Agriculture Officer Samuel Abio, this initiative complements government's efforts of raising human capital in agriculture sector with aims of meeting the market demand and poverty alleviation. He called upon the trade youth to take advantage of the parish development model in raising capital to start their horticulture enterprises. At the graduation ceremony, the 150 recipients were furnished with startup kits to promptly apply their knowledge in cultivating horticultural crops. Samuel Chirimonda, Rona Nahabwe for Smart 24 TV Business Today. Citing successful trends and innovations, Ugandans have been urged to embrace the digital transformation roadmap that was launched just last week by Ministry of ICT together with partners like UNDP and Ministry of Education. With just 2.3 million Ugandans assimilated in the IT-based jobs, the European Union, just like UNDP, is committed to supporting the transformation linked to spur several economic sectors such as services, agriculture, industry, among others. Stuart Jaconi has more of this report.
The European Union has pledged commitment to support Uganda in its drive towards digital transformation, whose 5-year strategic plan is expected to strengthen the fundamentals of the economy by harnessing the abundant opportunities around the country through promotion of inclusivity in gender and rural-urban spaces.
In addition to the EU's high-level commitment, digital transformation also forms an integral part of the development cooperation of the European Union delegation here in Uganda. And to this end, the digital agenda has been integrated across all 3 priorities of our cooperation with Uganda. Specifically, we will seek out opportunities to work on connectivity, e-governance, financial inclusion, skills, entrepreneurship and innovation, and the legal and regulatory framework. In all these streams of work, the EU will aim for inclusive and sustainable interventions that bridge the gender and rural-urban digital divide.
The EU, with some of its member states such as Belgium, Germany and Estonia, have collaboratively partnered with the ICT Ministry in separate areas of development, proving themselves formidable players in accompanying Uganda through this roadmap.
Together with the Ministry of ICT and National Guidance, Team Europe has leveraged technical assistance to explore the possibility of transforming post offices into e-government service centers. And we will soon conclude the pre-feasibility phase of this project, and we believe such an initiative could provide access to digital services to many people that are currently left behind. And Honourable Minister, I'm happy to continue this collaboration with your ministry.
The number of people employed under the ICT sector, according to the Permanent Secretary, Amina Zawede, stands at 2.3 million, with a 9% sector contribution to the national GDP, about $9.7 billion.
According to the National Planning Authority, the information communication services continue to grow at an average growth rate of 14.8%. And the contribution of ICT to our GDP is estimated at over 9%, which contributes about $9.7 billion to our GDP. And in addition, apart from not only generating revenue alone, we also look at, the proportion of employment in the ICT sector. We have about 2.3 million people that have been documented to be employed under the ICT sector, but the number continues to grow. And that is why we are harnessing the digital transformation.
This comes as the country aims to transform its society to be technologically centered while bridging the West Africa divide.
As a ministry, we see how do we integrate ICT to become part and parcel of our everyday life, wherever we are and whatever we are doing. In any case, we are all aware that today, for anything, for any nation, for any business, for whatever you do, you need ICT, you need technology to be at the center in order for you to move faster and be efficient in terms of providing whatever service you are doing.
Amina Zawede further calls upon Ugandans to embrace global income-generating trends and innovations such as those through paying platforms to reap from the benefit of the roadmap.
So when I bring this closer to home, we now have some Ugandan creators who are earning as much as $10,000 a month from some of these platforms through just generating content. You know, yesterday I was with Elsie and they told us we had become content generators, just dancing and putting us online. I think if we did that better, we would get more money, but there is a lot that people can do leveraging on ICT to create employment opportunities. YouTube alone shares more than 50% of its $29 billion annual revenue with content creators. Imagine the potential this creates for our young people in Uganda. Not only creating content, but also developing, systems or innovative ideas that we can leverage on to improve the lives of our Ugandans.
Away from that, Prime Minister Right Honorable Robin Nabanja has led a campaign to educate farmers in Mityana and Greater Mubende, the initiative that focuses on enhancing income generation from limited land holdings to providing essential guidance for poverty alleviation through agriculture. The campaign, launched recently, aims to empower local farmers with strategies to maximize their profits. Take a look.
According to a 2021 study by the Uganda Bureau of Statistics, about 30% of Ugandans were found to be poor in a 2019-2020 survey, which was slightly lower than that of 2012-2013, that was at 31%. Uganda has previously adopted various frameworks towards poverty eradication, and in a move to stem it in rural areas, the Prime Minister, Robin Nabanja, visited model farms after successfully launching a campaign to educate Ugandans on better farming methods to fight poverty.
All Ugandans can get better off if only we just put in more effort. First of all, if you work hard with the flocks, someone can be able to get out of this.
Farmers with model farms like Mr. Sechibo seized the opportunity to ask the Prime Minister for more assistance.
If we're using a cage system method, it would be better because the structure would resemble the other. So the flock can be in a cage. One who's been looking after 16,000 chicken can now expand to 80,000. The cages can help the people in the community to act as models in case they want to start their own poultry farms.
The campaign follows repeated calls by President Yoweri Museveni for Ugandans to use their small areas of land for the production of crops that would earn them more revenue.
The second acre is the one which can earn money for the family. And if you make a mistake, you never get out of poverty.
However, some village elders had taken it upon themselves to educate others, as Father Kiemba explains.
Tukola mwanyi zino twazisimba nga twagala parish yeyimirizeewo kuba nayo badde enjavu.
We planted this coffee to get rid of the community poverty. The surround natives were people, so we decided to teach them. So far we have done 3 sensitizations by gathering the elders and others, and we hope to succeed.
While agriculture production can take different forms and levels from basic to more sophisticated levels like packaging, processing, cooling, drying and extracting, or any other process that differentiates the product from the original raw commodity, farmers have been urged to add value to their produce.
See that we meet farmers like you and come up with solutions to your challenges so that you can be able to enjoy your careers like those in Kampala, though you are in Lichikakandwa. So together with others, let's add value. Let's see how we shall support.
Stuart Jacon, Smart 24 Television, Business Today.
Now on the international scene, amidst The heart of New York City, passionate protesters have gathered at the multinational giant BlackRock investment, accusing it of exploiting Zambia's people. The spark revolves around BlackRock's underlying stance on refusing or talks that are restructuring Zambia's $20 million debt. Amid speculation, fingers point to Zambia's economic woes as pinned on a hefty 70% external debt to foreign entities, public and private. This protest spotlights the crossroads of global finance and social duty, urging a revaluation of debt's impact on developing nations. Take a look.
It is estimated that 70% of Zambia's debt is held by Western institutions, and there has been a growing outcry from the public and civil society to change the status quo. Activists carried out a demonstration in front of the headquarters of one such entity, BlackRock Investment, in New York City, United States, demanding it cancels the debt it owes the country.
We send all of our solidarity here from New York City, USA, where we have gathered at the headquarters of the vulture fund BlackRock that is trying to strangle Zambia and do everything it can to stop your struggle. And we want you to know that we will stand shoulder to shoulder with you whenever we have to, wherever we have to make sure that the people of Zambia have a basic set of living standards that really respect your humanity, your human rights, and your well-being to the best you can, the control of your own resources, the control of your own land.
The $10 trillion company is accused of refusing to cancel over $220 million, and activists have called this taking a hold with a foot on the neck of the Zambian population, claiming it to be a form of neocolonialism.
And they're just not any investment company. They're an investment company in the weapons industry, in the fossil fuel industry, in the pharmaceutical industry. The biggest private holder of Core Group, or whatever it's called, which is
Zambian President Hakainde Hichilema was in attendance at an international finance summit early in June, where the French government announced that Zambia and its government creditors, including China, had reached a deal to structure over $6.3 billion in loans.
It is with great honor, humility, gratitude that I stand before you today to say change is here.
The country was also the first to default on its debt during the start of the COVID pandemic. Stuart Jacon, Smart 24 Television, Business Today.
We've come to the end of Business Today. As always, thank you for the pleasure of your time. Before I officially sign out, here's what made the top stories. In Business Today, MPs condemn World Bank, Labour funding cut discriminatory. Government urged to combat corruption for economic strengthening. UATCL is advised to utilize the ISO certification for investor attraction. Uganda aims for 52,000 megawatts generation to align with strategy. And Koboko youth are tipped about horticulture as a quick income potential. Tomato trade worth 15 billion shillings annually. Once again, thank you for having joined us tonight. I'm Rwanda Habwe, together with Bini Biyinza Nakawuchi for the sign language interpretation. I would like to implore you to watch on our YouTube channel in case you missed or you'd like to follow up any of these reports, and follow on our social media platforms for the same. Until tomorrow, good evening.
Smart 24, driving business.
Say goodbye to paperwork and travel costs. Now every MTN customer can register to invest in securities anytime and anywhere with Zabu in a few simple steps. Step 1. Dial *292#. Step 2. Select option 1. Register with Zabu. Step 3. Enter your